Despite tonight's loss, the Fever really do have a lot to be proud of this year. After drafting Caitlin Clark, the hype around the Fever just exploded this season. They've had numerous sold-out games, and they've been breaking records left and right this year.
2 days before winning the 2024 Most Improved Player Award, DiJonai Carrington made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Within 90 seconds of Game 1 of the Connecticut Sun's first-round matchup against the Indiana Fever, she accidentally gave fan favorite Caitlin Clark a black eye. The foul went uncalled, but fans on social media went crazy as they blamed Carrington for intentionally hurting the Clark. Let's see what Fox News tweeted. Caitlin Clark brushes off eye injury as catalyst for poor playoff game. We played a crappy game. After Carrington poked Clark's right eye in Game 1, the Fever rookie recorded one of the worst games of her season, shooting only 4 of 17 from the field. Despite that, she accepted the blame for her poor performance in Indiana's 67-93 loss. Let's see what Clark said.
Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in the eye. I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got...
She bounced back very quickly in Game 2, scoring a game-high 25 points, albeit in a losing cause. Let's see what actually happened with Clark on court.
Carrington finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down. Caitlin Clark is down. No call as Connecticut takes advantage. And Clark is still down after taking a shot following the pass to Boston. And Caitlin Clark in pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington with no whistle. Now, there's nothing Indiana can challenge here because no call on the floor was made. Clearly not on purpose from Carrington, but also enough contact that it certainly could
prove so much since their first game of the season here in this building, Ryan, is when that blitz comes to Caitlin Clark, how she is...
Let's see Clark's recent performance.
And throws it in from Connecticut. Clark gets Burton on her hip, separates, and knocks down the midi. 20 points, Caitlin Clark. And she's guarding Clark 94 feet. Clark? Oh, looked like Clark got smashed. No call. By the way, Veronica Burton, a team-high plus 15 the bench for Connecticut. Burton gets inside of Clark, and Clark comes over the rejection.
Both teams played well yesterday. Connecticut defeated Indiana in a close playoff game with a score of 81-87. Caitlin Clark gave her best effort and had an impressive record-breaking performance in the previous games.
Corrals it, veers into space. Here's Clark. Clark looking to take it around Lloyd. Clark bodies in and finishes. Clark trying to shake Whitcomb. Step back is good. In the mid-range for Caitlin Clark. Miss there from Lloyd. Clark the fling ahead. Oh, what a dime! And Mitchell lays it in! And Caitlin Clark officially has the most assists ever.
Assist, another get ahead. Caitlin Clark, head up. Right in stride for Kelby Mitchell. She does not have to alter her speed one bit.
Here's Katie Lou Samuelson. Can't hit the three in the corner. Boston the rebound. Clark a good look. She got it.
Carrington's showy rivalry against Clark began during their regular season matchups. The Sun guard mocking her Indiana counterpart and frequently exchanging words seemed like a norm during the games. However, their dignified responses to questions about the eye-poking incident indicate all is well between them when the adrenaline isn't pumping. Big names from the media side of the basketball world spoke out about DiJonai Carrington's allegedly intentional foul Caitlin Clark. While Barstool Sports owner Dave Portnoy questioned the quality of the WNBA refereeing, analyst Jason Whitlock shockingly labeled the Sun guard a deranged bigot. Jason Whitlock said, "Jason is right. Player safety is important. especially for Clark. WNBA would take action against her, but they didn't. However, the two players involved had no enmity off the court. When Clark was asked about the nature of Carrington's block attempt, she laughed it off, saying,
What would you say to the crowd of people that think a hit like that was intentional and maybe even warrants a suspension?
It wasn't intentional by any means. You just watched the play. It wasn't intentional.
All right, thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Carrington, one of the best defenders in the WNBA, similarly defended herself when a reporter posed a similar question during a practice session.
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me, but no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her, so obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
When two fierce ball players go head-to-head, the possibility of such unexpected injuries naturally becomes higher. While Carrington averaged a career-high 12.7 points, 5 rebounds, and 1.6 assists in 2024, Clark's record-breaking spree with averages of 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.4 assists put on a jaw-dropping show for fans. Unfortunately, only one team could advance to the second round of the playoffs, and the Connecticut Sun did so dominantly. After all, they have been the best defensive team all year with a rating of 94.1. But maybe in a parallel universe, the arch rivals might have competed peacefully. Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark suffered an unfortunate eye injury during Game 1 of the first round of the WNBA playoffs on Sunday. The Fever are playing against the Connecticut Sun in the 3-game playoff series, which means DiJonai Carrington is assigned to guard Clark. Unfortunately, Carrington's fingernail accidentally stabbed the eye of Clark during the opening period, which gave the rookie a black eye. During the sequence, the former Loa Hawkeyes star fell to the ground as she grabbed her eye, but the officials didn't issue a foul. Many fans believed that the incident was the main reason why she struggled in Game 1. The Fever star finished with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists, shooting only .417 from the field. This led Indiana to suffer a 93-69 loss. On Monday, NBA analyst Jason Whitlock gave his take on the controversial no-call incident on his YouTube channel.
Michael Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted, has a black eye during the second half of the game because DiJonai Carrington stabbed her with her fingernails in the eye.
Jason's reaction is right. He simply exposes DiJonai Carrington's lack of sportsmanship. Resorting to such cheap shots just shows her insecurity. It's disappointing to see a player act this way instead of letting talent speak for itself, Whitlock said.
I'm not exaggerating. Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark.
Had a player would act so carelessly instead of just playing the game. Jason's frustration shows how wrong it is for someone to put another player's safety at risk like that.
No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go, is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on. Your biggest star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
Jason is absolutely right. It's unacceptable that no one acknowledged the foul play against Clark. Ignoring the safety of your star player shows a serious lack of accountability in the game.
And DiJonai has a history with Caitlin Clark. Like many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago and Angel Reese. Those three. But here's earlier in the season, DiJonai Carrington mocking Caitlin Clark on the court, played a very physical game with her back then too. And look, does Caitlin Clark do some histrionics, some flopping, and perhaps I'm giving them this out on what happened yesterday. Perhaps if Caitlin Clark wasn't known as a flopper, the refs would have taken it more seriously when she got stabbed in the eye and fell to the court. Perhaps they were a tiny bit confused, like perhaps in preparation for the game, there's like, she does some flopping, we don't know what to put. I'm going to give them that small out. But but that's not what I believe. That this is inexcusable, and DiJonai Carrington needs to be suspended for Game 2.
Jason raises a valid point about DJ Carrington's history with Caitlin Clark, highlighting how her past behavior could cloud judgment in critical moments. Regardless, there's no excuse for what happened. The lack of a serious response from the refs is unacceptable, and Carrington should face consequences for her actions.
Foolishly assume. Play the video of Carrington nailing Caitlin Clark. I assume, are you kidding? Did her hand catch a cramp? Look at what her fingers and...
Jason is spot on. There's nothing natural about that kind of move. It's clear that this was intentional, and it raises serious questions about player safety and fairness in the game.
What I am upset about is like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season. And again, I've admitted, some of them have been exaggerated. It's just typical rough play with girls. But there are some that it's just been dirty. And DiJonai is one of these people that has a real problem with Caitlin Clark.
Jason's frustration is justified. It's alarming to see the top star in the WNBA consistently targeted with dirty plays. DJ Carrington's ongoing issue with Caitlin Clark is becoming too obvious, and it needs to be addressed to protect players and ensure fair competition.
It's thrill. Caitlin Clark makes the game easier for everybody else. Now Lisa Smith can't hop on board. She's got to get out of there. They need a real enforcer. They need people that have Caitlin Clark's back.
Jason makes a great point. Caitlin Clark elevates the entire game for her teammates. It's clear that the team needs strong support and enforcers who will stand up for her, ensuring she can keep shining on the court.
Clark is not a punk, but she's also smart enough to know fighting some angry black lesbians, not her job, and it would lead to a collapse of the league. If there is
no love lost between Carrington and Caitlin Clark. Every time they play against each other, the Sun Guard makes sure to announce her presence defensively, often making it hard for Clark on offense. In June, the Sun and Fever played against each other during the regular season, and it led to Carrington mocking the star. After Clark drew a foul on a drive attempt, her matchup mocked her, implying that the former college star was flopping. Since then, DiJonai start hating Clark.
This video of Caitlin Clark having a fight with one of these tatted up, angry black lesbians, the whole league collapses.
Jason's point shows the unfair way Caitlin Clark is viewed just for being a top player. She should be allowed to compete without facing stereotypes or harsh judgment. Let's see what Jason said in his new podcast.
Mainstream media, surely the corporate media that cares so much about racial equity and racial justice, is going to be all over this. That the biggest star in American sports, the woman single-handedly carrying the WNBA to relevancy, the woman who is allowing all of these other spoiled, entitled brats to fly private to basketball games. The woman who gives them a glimmer of hope that the WNBA won't lose $50 million this year like they have every other year in their existence. This league was at the brink of extinction.
Jason makes a strong point about Caitlin Clark's vital role in the WNBA's success and relevance. It's frustrating to see the media overlook her contributions, especially when she's helping to keep the league afloat while others benefit from her efforts.
Caitlin Clark has made this league relevant, and this deranged bigot, and I say that in all sincerity. I don't say that.
Jason said it right. Caitlin Clark has made the WNBA relevant. It's frustrating to see hateful comments when her achievements deserve celebration.
Safeties are all these players. We must protect them. They're so vital. They do so much cancer research in their off seasons. They go into these ravaged ghetto communities and invest all of their money and spend all of their time trying to save children. We must protect their safety.
Jason emphasizes the importance of protecting players like Caitlin Clark and her teammates. Their dedication to supporting cancer research and investing in struggling communities shows how vital they are, making their safety a top priority.
But in the WNBA, another girl can take her fake fingernails and stab them towards the eye of the woman carrying the league. The only reason they're flying private, the only reason why they're drawing increased television ratings and attendance numbers. You can do whatever you want to Caitlin Clark, and no one has a word to say about it.
Jason is upset that players can target Caitlin Clark without facing any consequences, even though she's crucial to the WNBA's success. It's not right that she can be treated this way while helping the league grow.
They canceled a football game because Damar Hamlin got hurt. We've seen players previously die on the football field and the game continued. But in the name of safety, everything comes to a halt. But not for Caitlin Clark. Not when a black girl attacks a white girl on national TV. Nothing to see here, nothing to talk about. No repercussions. Everybody is afraid of DiJonai Carrington and whatever Black Twitter is and whatever the social justice, Ben Crump, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Everybody's afraid. And this is critical because
Jason highlights the unfair treatment of player safety in sports. While other injuries get serious attention, Caitlin Clark's situation is ignored, showing a troubling double standard.
Can this be true if you can abuse Caitlin Clark and out of fear of your black privilege, everybody's afraid to say anything about it? What do you mean we have no power? Clearly, black women are in total control of the WNBA. And why are they in total control? Oh, because they're the best players. No one watched. No one cared. They're the welfare league of the NBA.
The WNBA players deserve respect for their talent and hard work, rather than being dismissed with stereotypes.
Look what they built. They built nothing. The league was on the brink of extinction, and this little white girl's doing them a favor and turning the whole league into a thing that has a chance. It won't be profitable this year because they...
Jason is right. WNBA should be thankful for having a talented player in this league.
White girl, and instead of showing an ounce of appreciation, instead of anybody looking out for her welfare, her protection, everybody sits there in silence. And so...
Jason is right. Caitlin Clark's talent is helping the WNBA gain recognition, but it's concerning to suggest that others aren't supporting her. Everyone in the sport needs to uplift and protect players.
Hostility directed towards Caitlin Clark is ridiculous and it's racist, and that's why it was important.
Jason points out that the negativity aimed at Caitlin Clark is unfair and racist. It's crucial to address this hostility and support her instead of tearing her down. The W is more than one player, Cheryl Reeve tweeted on May 3rd. It was early preseason and Caitlin Clark had been heavily featured on the WNBA social media channels. It just so happened that that night was also when the Minnesota Lynx were playing the Chicago Sky, which was the first W game for another rookie, Angel Reese. Somehow, the narrative around that tweet became that Reeve did not like CC, but the Lynx coach is clearing things up. In a recent appearance on Good Game with Sarah Spain, Reeve talks about how she was surprised at the W fanbase misconstruing her tweet as criticism directed at the Fever rookie. But she then explained, Indiana-Dallas being televised, I didn't care about that. I didn't care that we weren't being televised. Those are business decisions. I do care when I'm going to protect my team. One, when you don't even mention the game. But then Reeve pointed out that while CC got the attention in that fan poster from the W, the Lynx vs. Sky game had another high-profile rookie. And by the way, you're not interested in the Minnesota Lynx. Angel Reese was playing her first WNBA game, right? So the fact that you don't even mention it, all I was doing was assisting our fans. Oh hey, don't forget we're playing, and here's where you can find it. Indeed, fans had been miffed about missing Reese in action because the preseason game was not being televised. A fan live-streamed the game on their phone with grainy quality instead, which ultimately received more than 2 million views, as Spain points out on the podcast. Nevertheless, Cheryl Reeve also refers to another incident that might have led some to believe that she was not pro-Caitlin Clark. Reeve had also photoshopped Nafisa Collier onto a poster promoting the W that was originally missing the links forward. And so I photoshopped Fee in and I said, "Here fans, I've fixed it." She laughed, narrating the incident on Good Game with Sarah Spain. Some Caitlin Clark fans grabbed a hold of that to say that I was anti-Caitlin Clark, the Lynx HC says, but then she clarifies, "I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan, not when we're playing against her, of course. But like I said, she's a future Hall of Famer. Everybody can see that." Another instance that could have led some to believe that Reeve was not a fan of CC could be leaving her off the Paris Olympics roster. But the Team USA coach had not been part of the panel that chose those players. And as she said on Sarah Spain's podcast, Reeve has long been supporting the Indiana Fever rookie. "No one is a sure thing other than Caitlin Clark." Cheryl Reeve. This year's rookie class was one to behold, but when asked to choose between two rivals, Cheryl Reeve seemed slightly more in favor of Caitlin Clark. Talking to MinPost after the draft, the Lynx HC said, "Angel certainly had a lot to offer. She's going to defend, she's going to rebound, she's going to get offensive rebounds. I think she's a great passer. She has some very strong qualities as a pro." But then, we just kind of looked at our situation. No one is a sure thing other than Caitlin Clark, like a sure thing. Time will tell. We all get really smart when we have the hindsight. Indeed, Clark has pulled away from Reese in the Rookie of the Year conversation and was even named the Roddy by the Associated Press. Reeve even commented on her impressive threes in a pre-game talk with the press last month, but clarified that pace and passing are what make the Indiana Fever guard great. While the WNBA is largely expected to pick her as the roadie, Caitlin Clark fans might need some more surety from Cheryl Reeve to believe her.
And when Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected. I ask a simple question. I don't have an answer. I'm not pretending to have an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm going to ask you a simple question. If that's Caitlin Clark, does she get ejected from that game? I'm just asking. If it's Caitlin Clark, do you think that referee ejects her? You know better.
And maybe she embraces being the villain. But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason why. Everybody has an opinion on what happened in that game.
Angel Reese is getting really upset after being criticized by several WNBA experts. And honestly, who wouldn't be? It's tough to be called out, but when some of the top minds in the game are criticizing you, it really stings. But let's be real. It's all about actions and consequences. If you throw shade, you have to be ready for it to come back at you. These analysts aren't just random people trying to get attention. They really know the game.
I actually did. She's pissed off because they're not just like, it's not just about one player. It's about me too. And it's like, wait, time out. Nobody, I haven't even seen it yet. This is the after.
If they're going after Angel, it's not just because they have nothing better to do. And when someone like Angel tries to mess with the rising stars out of jealousy, things get bad quickly. Trust me, their critiques hit her so hard, she couldn't even keep it together at the press conference.
I just want to always just know, like, I'm still human. All this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change.
Have you ever wondered why Angel Reese is targeting Caitlin Clark? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is the star of the WNBA, and she deserves it. She's not just another rookie, she's a highlight reel. Each game, she creates something special. Clark sinks threes from far away and makes unseen passes. She's on another level. Her stats? They're incredibly impressive, but it's more than that. She controls the game. The energy shifts when she plays. Her confidence is clear. There's no doubt in her game, just pure talent. When she plays, everyone notices. Fans are thrilled, analysts praise her, and she's seen as basketball's future. With every game, she's not just winning, she's redefining the game. That's why people like Stephen A. Smith confront Angel with the truth.
Caitlin Clark is already committed to $28 million in endorsement deals, at least. Look at the wave that she's created. Look at the profile that it has granted the WNBA. Look at the record ratings they produced because of her arrival.
Clark shines, but where's Angel Reese? She's trying, but Caitlin seems to be overshadowing her. Reese has talent, no question. Still, Caitlin is pulling ahead while Reese is struggling to keep up. Whenever Reese does well, Caitlin does even better. It's like Reese is running in place while Clark celebrates her win.
I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. It's not just because of one person.
You can almost sense Reese's frustration. She knows she's good and has worked hard to get this far. But with Caitlin in the same rookie class, it's a tough act to follow. No matter how hard Reese tries, the attention keeps shifting back to Clark. Every time Reese does something impressive, Caitlin does something even more amazing, leaving everyone talking about her instead. It's like Reese is trying to be heard over a crowd cheering for Caitlin, but her voice is getting lost in the noise.
And people didn't notice the game, they're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. Angel Reese has played a role in this, and she's a very good player. But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA.
Here we are with Angel Reese, who's found herself in a pretty tough spot this season. When she first started playing, there was a lot of hype surrounding her. People thought she might be the next big thing, maybe even someone who could challenge Caitlin Clark. But let's be real, competing with Caitlin is like trying to keep up with a speeding Ferrari on a bike. Every time Angel gets close, Clark speeds away, leaving her behind. The worst part is that it's not even close. Caitlin's incredibly fast, both on the court and in her rise to fame. Meanwhile, Angel is stuck playing catch-up, and it's not looking good for her. Of course, Angel's trying to put on a brave face for the cameras. She's being professional, giving compliments and pretending everything's fine. After their match on July 28, 2024, she even praised Caitlin in an interview, saying, "Yeah, she played really well." But let's not kid ourselves. You don't have to be a genius to see past that fake smile. Angel's frustrated, and being stuck in Clark's shadow has got to hurt. It's showing in more ways than one.
She disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Here's where things take a surprising turn. Angel has shifted her focus. Instead of improving to beat Clark, she's now embracing a bad girl image. It seems she's given up on winning against Clark. Now she aims to create drama for attention. I mean, come on, Angel, that's your strategy? It's like she's decided that if she can't win, she might as well try to disrupt the game.
And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that. Even Caitlin Clark getting knocked down in that game on Saturday, who's standing up applauding but Angel Reese?
Even when Caitlin Clark got knocked down during that Saturday game, guess who was standing up applauding? Angel. Then, in a mid-August 2024 interview with The Athletic, Angel dropped a bombshell, claiming that Caitlin Clark's soaring popularity has nothing to do with her basketball skills, but because of her race. According to Angel, fans love Clark because she's white, not because she's breaking records and dominating games. This comment grabbed everyone's attention, fans, analysts, you name it. But most people were left confused. I mean, really? Caitlin's stats speak for themselves. Her points per game, her assists, her ability to rewrite the WNBA history books practically every week. It's tough to argue that her race is why she's blowing everyone away, but Angel is frustrated and searching for answers. Instead of focusing on how to step up her game, she's spinning this narrative that she's the underdog being overlooked. But does that story really hold up? Angel's trying to paint herself as the ignored one, but the reality is that Clark is winning fans because she's that good. Instead of accepting that Clark is on another level, Angel seems determined to go full-on villain. It's like she's leaned all the way into the antagonist role, hoping that stirring up drama will keep her in the spotlight. And now, let's talk about the one guy who's not afraid to set Angel straight, Stephen A. Smith. When it comes to keeping it real, Stephen A. never holds back. So when the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark drama blew up, you just knew Stephen A. was going to dive in with his signature no-nonsense approach. Reese was out here claiming Clark's popularity was all about race, But Stephen A? Nope, he wasn't having it. With his classic sarcastic flair, he laid it out. Everyone watching knew exactly what he meant. Angel's issue wasn't about race. It was about Clark's jaw-dropping talent. End of story. Stephen A dropped the mic on the whole thing. And the best part? He had the receipts to back it up. He didn't just talk. He brought the cold, hard facts. Caitlin had broken the WNBA rookie record with a ridiculous 670 points by August 2024. Numbers like that speak louder than any drama Angel was trying to stir up.
Clark is the first rookie in WNBA history to have 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in a 2-game span. The Fever have now won 3 in a row. The teams face off Sunday.
While Stephen A sarcastically roasted Angel, Dan Patrick took a different approach. He ignored the drama and called Caitlin Clark an unstoppable force, likening her to a hurricane in the WNBA. And he was spot on. Caitlin averages 25.8 points per game, leading the WNBA in scoring and assists. She's a one-woman storm. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, she's barely holding onto her umbrella.
But I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
Here's where Patrick really made his point clear. He wasn't just talking about the numbers. He was talking about how Clark played the game. According to Patrick, they weren't even close. Sure, he gave Angel some credit for her potential, trying to be kind. She didn't bring the same game-changing energy that Clark does. In other words, Reese might be good, but she's not in Clark's league, and that's gotta sting. Patrick highlighted a key moment that got everyone talking. On August 15th, 2024, at an Indiana Fever game, Clark shone. She scored 34 points and made 11 assists, leading her team to a big win against the Chicago Sky. Meanwhile, Reese struggled, scoring only 12 points and showing clear frustration. This scene perfectly captured their seasons. Clark was a star, while Reese was still searching for her rhythm.
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times.
Angel Reese is having a big meltdown because of something harsh that happened, but it's really her own fault, and now she's facing the results. Meanwhile, the girl she's been talking about, Caitlin Clark, is busy setting records like it's nothing. This so-called rivalry between them is completely one-sided.
I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of hers.
Clark has been ignoring Angel's trash talk for a long time, but even Clark's patience has a limit. Believe me, that limit has already been reached.
And trust me, that line's been crossed already.
She wants excellence and she wants it now. And that's what makes her great.
If you're even remotely aware of the WNBA,
the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is currently the biggest story in the WNBA. It's hard to miss. Both players entered the league with high expectations. However, Caitlin Clark is starting to shine more than Angel Reese. Clark's impressive stats speak for themselves. Meanwhile, Reese is facing the tough challenges of being a rookie.
And maybe she embraces being the villain.
Caitlin Clark's rise to the top isn't just a lucky break. She's not just any player, she's a stats powerhouse. She's averaging 18 points per game, 8.1 assists, and an incredible 90.1% free throw accuracy. Who even does that? She's outplaying everyone, and it's not just about scoring. She's making smart plays, setting up teammates, and doing it all with precision. She's the kind of player that coaches and analysts are raving about.
But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason why everybody has an opinion on what happened in that game.
They're right. This girl spends more time in the gym than others do at home. She's always improving her skills, ensuring no one can catch her.
Caitlin Clark's the golden goose. She happens to be a terrific talent who's white.
Let's be clear, Angel Reese is not someone to underestimate. She's a powerhouse when it comes to rebounds, pulling down 12.9 per game like it's nothing. Dominating the paint is tough, but she's great at grabbing offensive boards, giving her team extra chances, and making life hard for the other team. The issue is her scoring. She's averaging 13.3 points per game, which is decent, but compared to Clark's scoring streak, Reese seems to be lagging behind. Her shooting percentage isn't record-breaking, and that's where Clark starts to pull ahead.
And that's where Clark starts to pull away.
Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn. Nobody's questioning that you can't go after her.
The numbers show Clark is beating Reese in nearly every category, except rebounds.